This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/audio. Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio.
A flooded home or business is never easy to deal with. You're left with a mess to clean up, having to deal with the insurance company to pay for the damages, not to mention the memories that are lost that you cannot replace. And Aquadam can be another tool in your arsenal to protect your home or business from the floodwaters, a hurricane storm surge, or the king tides. Give Aquadam a call at 707-764-2119 or look us up online at aquadam.net. We can help. We're also offering 10% off the price to anyone who mentions they heard this ad on the Opperman Report.
Hey, if you have something you want to promote, like a business or a website, you got a big event coming up, consider advertising on the Opperman Report. We have excellent advertising rates for you. We're on KCAA on 3 different frequencies on AM/FM in California, KSHP 1400 AM in Nevada, WWPR in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, 1490 AM, and also WWNN, which is on the east coast of Florida, all the way from Miami up to Port Bay, with 175 miles of I-95. The advertising rates are very affordable. Once your ad goes up and we play the show on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, those ads stay up there forever. And then we play repeats every single night of classic Opperman Report shows. And your new ads will be inserted into those repeats that play every single night. So the saturation is incredible, and the rates are very affordable. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me on Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting just by emailing me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like our show, be sure and check out our Patreon. Got a ton of stuff I got to get around to uploading to Patreon. We got these new recordings of Joel Greenberg, the tax collector down here in Florida, basically having a standoff with a SWAT team in front of his house for 4 hours. He's associated with the whole Matt Gaetz thing. It's just incredible stuff. You're going to love it. That'll be in the Patreon. Now, also, too, check out our archives. You go to our archives on Spreaker.com. It's always free. There's a chat room. You get an email notification anytime I put up new content. And I do a live show there every Friday night, solo show where I just talk about what's been going on during the week. And I did a lot on Matt Gaetz and my involvement and all that too, and this Joel Greenberg stuff. But I'm very excited today. We have a historical show here, really. We have Barbara Brussell Fessler, who's the daughter of Mae Brussell. Now, I'm sure that 99% of the people listening to this show right now know exactly who Mae Brussell is. But if you don't, I want you to check out some of these websites. One is the Mae Brussell Project, which is a new project, which is why Barbara Brussell's coming out of obscurity to spearhead this project to save the Mae Brussell archives, the library, and really open up the facility so people can go in there and explore all this material like any iconic scholar should have, especially someone to the depths of Mae Brussell. You can also find MaeBrussell.com, where they have all the old recordings of Mae Brussell, who was a hero of mine. I used to listen to those tapes back in the 70s in New York because she was on the radio back in California. All great stuff. JFK, Berkowitz, Son of Sam, John Lennon assassination. Always talking about Richard Allen, okay, who seems to be behind everything back in those days. Iran-Contra, way ahead of the game on all this stuff that we talk about here week after week after week. So you can also go to Facebook and join the Mae Brussell Project and help support it there. There's a GoFundMe called the Mae Brussell Project, and it's run by a gentleman named Louis Rames, R-H-A-M-E-S. And they have a PayPal, too. You can go to PayPal, Mae Brussell Project, and make a donation right off the bat. But Barbara Brussell, are you there?
I'm here.
So me and Barbara have been talking off the air for about 2 hours. My new best friend over here. Thank you so much for coming on the show. But before we get into your mother, who is the heroine of this field, who is Barbara Brussell? Tell us about yourself. I know you have some kind of a music CD, that you're some kind of a musician.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm a cabaret singer. I was a dancer, then I turned into musical theater, then I found cabaret. And that's my dharma, that's my love. But I'm putting it on a hold to do this project. And also because of the state of the world in the last couple of years, I haven't been traveling. I go to New York a lot, and I lived there for the better part of 14 years. And I've been back in California for since 2008, good Lord. But back on the Monterey Peninsula, which is where Mom took us. So I'm singing. I do cabaret. I've done a couple CDs, and I have an opportunity to do a third one, which is my dream. But like I said, I've been putting it on hold. And thank you so much for having me here today. And it really was fun talking to you.
I love that area too. That whole Monterey, Carmel.
Oh my God, it's so gorgeous.
But they don't have street numbers. They can't. You can't put a number on your house in Carmel. They have to. It's at the corner.
The driftwood. Dreamer.
Yeah.
They have different little, signs and things. It's quite, the fourth house in the corner with the
right.
tree or something. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Now, Mae Brussell. For the person who doesn't automatically know the name Mae Brussell and their ears just perked up, explain to people, who was Mae Brussell?
Okay, so Mae, according to Paul Krasner, the queen of conspiracy, he called her the bionic researcher, that every day she feeds herself 10 newspapers from around the country, and this diet is supplemented with items sent to her by network, whatever. Mae was one of the earliest conspiracy theorists about the Kennedy assassinations. The day that Oswald was shot, the moment he was shot, she said, "This looks like a conspiracy." Okay, that's, November 22nd, 1963 was when Kennedy was shot. And we all were grieving. On Sunday, the 24th, that thing happened, and she was never the same. So she set out to find out who was Oswald, what happened, who let Ruby in to shoot him, all this stuff. And then the year later, the Warren Commission debacle came out, the big whitewash, and the 26 volumes. She bought the 26 volumes, and there was only, I think, 96 printed at the time or something like that. She bought a copy of that, and she researched it for 8 years, cross-filed it. The first half was depositions and stuff. The second half were back, I don't know. There were two different parts to it. But in there, by 64, 5, 6, she gets a call, or she contacts Jim Garrison, who actually, on that very same weekend in 63, Jim Garrison, the district attorney of New Orleans, he said, "Wait a minute, is Oswald represented here? Is there anybody taking notation of what's happening behind the scenes?" He's saying he didn't do it. He's saying he was a patsy. Is he represented? So he was going to go down and represent Oswald or check it out. And on the way, bang, bang, you're dead. So Mom just went, what? Anyway, so he was one of the first.
Real quick.
Mom was one of.
Did your mom contact Garrison, or did Garrison contact your mom?
I think when Garrison became visible, she wrote to him.
Okay.
And they became colleagues. And she wrote to him and sent him a lot of information. And the movie that Oliver Stone did, I thought was pretty comprehensive. And there was a woman in Garrison's office, a character that I said to my friend, that doesn't make sense. That woman is so obnoxious. She's talking so much and she tells them everything. I'm like, how would she know that? And my friend goes, I think that's based on your mother. And I was like, oh. And then the second time I saw it, I went, yeah, you know, all those things that she was saying about Clay Shaw, about David Perry, about the addresses and all that. I heard all that stuff at home. I heard her talking about that. And she gave a lot of information, whatever she had that she had been researching, the details to Garrison. And he was the only one ever, to this day, who ever sued the CIA or the government for the cover-up. And he lost, but he was the only one who ever did.
Let's stop there for a second now. And by the way, too, when we mentioned John Barber off the air, John Barber has this great film, The Garrison Tapes. You got to check it out.
Yes, wonderful.
Right, and we played John Barber's show here on the Opperman Report Spreaker channel. You could find it there, too. Now, did your mom have a radio show at the time of the Kennedy assassination? Had she already started on the radio, or was this like the impetus?
Okay. No. This came about in 1970. So she starts researching in 1963. The Warren Commission comes out in 64. And then she, by 70, I think it was 70 or 71, she started doing a radio show. She was interviewed, and then it was called Dialogue. I forget what it was originally called, Dialogue Conspiracy. And later it became World Watchers. Mm-hmm. We were always like foodies, so Weight Watchers, you know, she borrowed that. Yeah, that's so funny. I have a funny story about her.
Well, now, real quick, you were saying that when the Kennedy assassination happened, she was talking about this around the house, and then the whole family was like, listen, I mean, how old were you when you were hearing these stories from your mother?
Well, my goodness. 63, I was 8 when Kennedy was shot. And then from 8, she really felt that Oswald was not a lone assassin, and everybody wanted to drink that Kool-Aid and go back to their, you know, country club. And she was like, wait, a line was drawn in the sand socially in our friendship, you know, our family and friends. There's always friends who kind of think and come through the woodwork, but she really couldn't stand the fact that this thing was happening. She felt a coup d'etat had happened in America right in front of our eyes. And then she did a workshop, actually, very close to where I live right now, on the Monterey Peninsula. It was a personal workshop. And when she left, she threw away her Kleenex, saying, no more psychosomatic sneezing, crying, all that stuff. I am done. And she pitched a for sale sign, and we left Los Angeles for the Monterey Peninsula within a year and a half. And in 1965, we ended up in Carmel Valley.
Okay, stop right there. You said she went to a personal workshop. Now, this was like one of those kind of self-awareness kind of
thing.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Do you know what it was called and who ran it?
I don't.
We got to find out.
Great. It was old records. It was at a place called Asilomar, and it's still there. The Asilomar Healing Center, a workshop. You know, they have workshops. It's in Pacific Grove. It's on the, you know, which is on like, when they say Monterey Peninsula,
right.
It's on the outside of the peninsula. It's on the point, towards the point of the peninsula itself. So, yeah.
Wait, now let me ask you this, because you said you're 8 years old. You're hearing your mom talking about all these. It's setting the whole family apart, and your friends. You're losing friends because your mom's intensity over these. It was
subtle at first. It grew.
But now, what about you, though? You know, you're seeing your mom talk about these kind of things. You respect your mom. She's an intelligent woman, clearly. But you ever kind of think, oh, Mom, you're crazy?
Never.
Okay.
No, Mom was so cool. I mean, I used to be embarrassed that I had the best mother because she would let us spend the night. She'd let us have friends. She'd make some fun food. She always had games or toys or things. We had a great backyard. She was just so fun.
Was there ever a time? And I ask you these questions selfishly because I know my daughter's gone through the same thing in her life. I was investigating Sarah Palin. Our house was broken into. We've had a crazy life. We've had a crazy life over here. Okay. And I always used to tell her growing up, I says, when you get to college and you start meeting friends and you tell them about how you grew up, it's a totally different world, that how people grow up,
That's right.
That's what I want to get at from you right now. Okay. What about your friends?
Try to keep it as normal as possible.
Right.
She was like everyone's best friend. All my friends are that. She was a favorite mother,
right.
know. And she kept it pretty domestic around the house. I mean, she had a beautiful house and, angels and hearts and beautiful things, great clothes. And then she was busy in her study. We'd go to school. When we moved to Carmel, we had 3 different schools because 3 different ages.
Right.
And she took us there. We took us to dance classes, took us to guitar lessons and all that stuff. And we went to theater. When we left Los Angeles, when we used to go a couple times a year to the Philharmonic, we did musical theater. We came home and listened to the albums, Sound and Music, King and I, Carousel, all the shows, right? I know them all. And in 65, I missed that 65 to 70 years. I had to fill it in later, the Fiddler and the She Loves Me, all the songs. But we went to San Francisco in 68 and saw Hair. And she also took us to all the rock concerts. We went to Big Sur and lived in Big Sur for the month of August in the campgrounds. She got us into nature. She got us barefoot in the riverbeds for a month, walking the riverbeds, singing to the trees, being away from television and being on the earth and in the sky and it was so beautiful. She loved Henry Miller. She met him after she wrote to him. She was a philosophy major at Stanford in the 40s. And she wrote to him and they struck up a friendship and a deep affection for each other. And he was in Big Sur. So she was between Big Sur, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Palo Alto is where Stanford is. Coming south is through the Monterey Peninsula. Further south is Big Sur on back to L.A.
Wait a second. Henry Miller, the playwright who married Marilyn Monroe?
No, that's Arthur.
Oh, okay. Then who was Henry Miller?
No, Henry Miller was Nexus, Plexus, and Sexus, and he was very sexy, and he was an artist and a writer. And he was blacklisted and probably exiled in the 20s. And
gotcha.
He went to France for many years, and he came back, and he lived on Partington Ridge. So she was very close friends with him.
Now, was there ever a time growing up, like especially when she had the radio show, where maybe people at school or acquaintances would say, "Oh, that's the girl. Her mother's that crazy radio." Did we ever say that?
They still do. I'm like, really? But what's amazing is that I'm getting so many emails and a lot of feedback that people are saying, oh, my God, I thought she was nuts. So what she said has been coming true. And that has I've always been proud of her, but now I just wish she were here because I'm very proud of her. She really had the guts before the internet.
Right, before anybody was doing this, yeah. And I remember when she was warning us. I remember and I would get a cassette tape that would be mailed to us from California, right? And we would have to share the cassette tape. We had a sign-in sheet over a WBI. You could take it out, you couldn't take it out. And what do you call it? And what she's talking about, there's going to be electronic mail, and they'll be able to read our private mail.
and the bio-warfare and mind control and brain implants and, these cover-ups. She said cover-ups aren't political left or right. Everybody's going to, murder and cover it up.
Hey, now what about her politics? What did she describe herself as? A Democrat, a Republican, a socialist, a communist?
She was a liberal.
Liberal.
Ironically, her father, who was a famous rabbi in Beverly Hills in Los Angeles, he moved to Los Angeles in 1915 and helped build Los Angeles. He was part of the Warner Brothers and Temple. They were members of the Temple. Louis B. Mayer, He had lunch with him every week.
Wow.
He was like his confidant, and I'm wondering what influence did my grandfather have on Louis that created some movie stuff. He wanted my grandfather to work for him in anything. You want to write? He said, Louis, I'll love you to the day I die, but I won't work for you for 2 weeks. He had his own pulpit. He had his own majestical place. It's really a landmark. The Wilshire Boulevard Temple in Los Angeles helped to be built by the Warner Brothers murals, and Louis B. Mayer put the stained glass, and it's a historic thing. But my grandfather was so proud in whatever year was it 68 that Nixon was elected and inaugurated? My grandfather gave the Jewish inaugural prayer in Washington. And my mother helped to impeach the same guy. So, I know, it's like I say my grandfather was a rabbi and my mother was a rebel. So, it was like, that was a big point of contention,
So now, do you have any brothers and sisters who were also raised by your mom?
Of course. Raised by, yeah. Now, she tossed them and just I don't know if you raised them.
No, you know what I mean. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, I have two older brothers from her first marriage.
Yeah.
And I also say I come from a long line of divorcees. My grandfather's mother, actually, his father stood up two people. Had two women and knocked them both up. And so my grandfather was raised a single child in San Francisco in 1890.
Wow.
So that's the first divorce. And then my mom got a divorce in the 50s. Then she married my dad, had 3 girls, and I'm the oldest of the 3. So I'm in the middle of 5 and the oldest of my dad's 3. And the second sister died in a car accident in 1970. So whether that was a planned deal or whether it was just an accident, we live with parallel questions.
Well, what were the circumstances then around her death that made you suspicious?
My sister's death?
Yeah.
Well, there were 9 of us in a car, a Volkswagen van, and the teacher was driving. And when you think of it, how outrageous this is, the teacher was 22 years old.
Right.
Driving 8 students up a Highway 1, which is as dark as a 2-lane highway could be. Just above that, it's called Death Alley, from Carmel to Cabrillo College, which is in Santa Cruz. It's about a 40-minute drive. And it was Tuesday night at 10, and it was raining, cats and dogs. And as we were coming home, our car couldn't stop fast enough when this other car pulled on the highway slowly. So someone pulled onto the highway. There was a driver who became quadriplegic, and there was a passenger in the back seat lying down who bounced around but ended up walking away from the accident. So my mother always thought that was suspicious. I don't know. I mean, how do you plan something? Take out someone's brakes, cue someone to go. I don't really know how that can actually happen.
Well, it could be done with, spouters and radios and all kind of stuff. It could be done, but
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So she had, thought that, and then there was an FBI file that she got from the Freedom of Information Act. It looked like there was something in there about that, and there was something. Someone walked up to me from Fort Ord, which is the Army base that used to be here, and God, I saw him at an English class at the Monterey Peninsula College, and then he followed me, or he found me. I was walking to my music academy, which is in Seaside, California, and he crossed the street and confronted me and said, that accident was planned, right? I was like, and it was so shocking to me.
Well, did you give him any credibility? Because people come up to me and say all kind of crazy things all the time. Did you give him any credibility? Why did you give him any credibility?
Well, it's just that he said it.
Okay.
And I was so taken back that I said, I kind of was flippant. I said, I know that. Rather than saying, how do you know? What do you know? Rather than saying, what's your number? Come meet my mother. I didn't have any grounding on me. It was just...
No, wait, what about that? Let me ask you this.
Kind of scary,
Did you have people showing up at your door? They wanted to give your mom information or sending weird letters and stuff when she was on the radio?
Well, she was threatened many times. One time, her friend of hers in a car kind of blew up and it went off the road, and she went into a ditch. They survived. Another time, when she visited Garrison in 1967, there was a bomb scare on the plane. So they deplaned her and gave her another plane back. It was a lie. There was no bomb. What they did was they took her luggage and fluffed it up, and also took all of the papers that she had in her suitcase and copied them all. And we could tell because in the olden days the Xerox machine sometimes burned paper. Do you remember those?
I do. Yeah, you could smell it. Yeah.
Yeah. So her stuff came back brown. It's like, oh, look at this. Anyway, so but she did get threats. There was an FBI file that had several threats. I think Mae Brussell was due for an accident, shit like that. There was a safe house around the neighborhood that later someone saw one of the Manson family people there. And maybe I heard your thing about with Hank Harrison and him talking about all the drugs and him taking care of him with drugs. People were into drugs, and also there could have been narcs that got in and overdosed people.
Sure.
They were experimenting with CIA acid. They were just tampering with people's brains, and also tampering with kind of measuring, does anyone even care if this does happen? Measuring the results of the public awareness and their responses. So even watching an assassination in 1963, where our president is shot to death on public street, and then the next thing, seeing another murder live. Actually, the first murder wasn't even planned to be. The Zapruder film is what captured it. Thank God. It's so disgusting and sad. But the other one on live television.
Yeah.
We all just go back. It's right before Thanksgiving. Oh, let's just keep eating.
Yeah.
The tolerance level, measuring how much can people take and still carry on as if nothing happened. He was watching that show. Anyway, I'm jumping around.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Now, any of you or any of your brothers and sisters ever say, well, I want to take up the mantle and be a researcher like my mom, or do you all went to the arts and...
Well, my two older brothers are not really interested, and one's an artist, a total artist and songwriter. One is a lawyer, retired now. And, they just have their own lives and they're happy. And my other sister, she was more of an activist for quite a while, more than I was. And she's much brighter than I am.
Yeah, what would be nice if we could get you both to come on the show next time. We'd have you both.
It would be nice. She's pretty busy. She's got, a family and stuff like that. So eventually, I would love that.
Yeah.
I almost called her today, but I know that, it's tricky right now. So I will definitely see if she'll do that. I'll definitely see if she'll do that.
We're about to take a commercial break, but before we do, I want you to explain to us exactly what is the Mae Brussels Project that you can find on Facebook. And I'm sure there's and MaeBrussellProject.com.
Okay, the current Mae Brussell Project is that I now have access to her entire library that's been held at this woman's house for many, many years. The woman has had a stroke, and the husband has allowed me to access now. So after all these years, they were only allowing it to go to a university, not to my sister and myself. And it's been a blessing because they've been housing it. It's a bit of an albatross. It's maybe 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 square feet. 39 filing cabinets, 1,000 books, many boxes, tons of files on all the things you said.
What about audio tape? Is there audio tape that needs to be preserved and restored?
Well, the other one, that's a whole other wing.
Yeah.
That's Tim Canali at MaeBrussell.com has all of her tapes. He's found all those cassettes and transferred them to DVDs or CDs, and he makes copy sets of those for a very minimal amount, and he'll send them out to you. There are also online, and there's 2 people now doing not dictation. What do you take when you notate them, when you write things down?
Bibliography.
No, she had a bibliography page for everything, but now they're taking down the words. What
Index. Transcribe.
Transcribing.
Oh, great.
To make it easier, because what we want to do, the project is that we already have the tapes in one place, but that's the second part of the project. The first part of the project is to move. We have some money already raised to move it, and then to house it. We need to house it at least for $3,000 a month for someone to live there, and also to have it in the home so it's protected, and then to digitize everything. 3 to 5 years tops, and it's a finite project. And then if it wants to go to university or to a museum in Santa Fe or wherever, we can give the whole library to someplace. But we want to digitize all of it right now, because I do believe there's current information that could be helpful for current people today who are in power today. I'm going to find some dirt on a few people.
Now, I noticed that the GoFundMe, the Mae Brussell Project GoFundMe, which is run by this gentleman.
It all goes to me now.
Okay.
Lewis helped me put that up, and I just put a new one up that goes to me.
Okay.
It goes to, Mae Brussell.
And you said
at Gmail.
And there's like $500 in there right now. And then you would tell me off the air that a couple of people that we happen to both know, mutual acquaintances, are willing to make monthly contributions to support this effort. How much money are you looking to raise on the GoFundMe?
Well, if we could get $3,000 a month, I mean, if one person is willing to live with it and put her own rent in there.
Right.
But we need initially. I think 3 a month would be great. That's the minimum for rent. But then we also need to make sure we have the software expanded enough to have backup, to have the computer and the scanner. I think 2 scanners and maybe 2 computers.
Have you actually gone to these companies that scan things like this for a living and said, hey, we have this amount of material, we need it scanned, quote us a price?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I should look into that, actually. It's one of those things. Well, I've heard about them, but this is such a personal thing. I don't want the information to get lost.
No, I got you. But we're on the radio right now, so anybody out there has this kind of company, and I know we have a listener to the show who used to advertise on our show, Archival Revival, that preserves and audio enhances these audio tapes. So we can, it's a network.
Fantastic. I love it.
And like I offered you off the air in our 2-hour conversation off the air, is that I can play those shows for you. I can play those shows for you on the Opera and Report Spreaker channel, and any income that comes from that we can contribute to this project as well.
Fantastic.
Let's take a little commercial break. We're speaking to Barbara Brussell Fessler. She's the daughter of Mae Brussell, who is the queen of all this stuff. The
conspiracy.
You're right. One of the founding mothers of this field. That now so many people are worshipped by so many people. MaeBrussell.com is where you can go to get the audio tapes. And then the MaeBrussellProject.com is where you can go to support this effort and make a donation to get this off the ground. This is important material. This is historic material. She was way ahead of the game on all the stuff we talk about here. John Lennon assassination, Iran-Contra, People's Temple, Guyana, all this stuff. When you heard
Charlie Manson.
Right, Charlie Manson. Patty Hearst. All the stuff we talk about here, guys. We didn't know these things were conspiracies. We didn't know these things were shady when they first came on the news until Mae Brussell explained it to us. And then years later, we've done all this work, and we see the facts. And pretty much everything she said has come out correctly. We'll be right back with more of Barbara Brussell Fessler after these messages.
And now a word from our sponsors.
A flooded home or business is never easy to deal with. You're left with a mess to clean up, having to deal with the insurance company to pay for the damages, not to mention the memories that are lost that you cannot replace. An Aquadam can be another tool in your arsenal to protect your home or business from the floodwaters, a hurricane storm surge, or the king tides. Give Aquadam a call at 707-764-2119 or look us up online at aquadam.net. We can help. We're also offering 10% off the price to anyone who mentions they heard this ad on the Opperman Report.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com. 800-572-9762.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Barbara Brussell Fessler, the daughter of Mae Brussell. By the way, you could find me on Twitter and Instagram at Opperman Report. Barbara, are you in the project on Twitter or Instagram?
I do a little Twitter sometimes. I do a little Instagram, yeah.
Okay, so and how would we
on the project with it? I don't think so. Not
okay,
yet.
if you're
maybe Instagram.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description if you come up with something. But you can go to MaeBrussell.com to buy the tapes, and you can go to themaebrusselproject.com. There's a GoFundMe, and that's where you can go to support this project of preserving this material. Now, we were talking off the not off the air this time. We're talking on the air. Actually, we actually got a little bit of work done today. Now, you were saying how your mom used to be concerned about people infiltrating her life. Now, was she married or single at this time on the dating market during this period of time when she's? Because this is serious stuff. People think it's a joke, and now a lot of people doing this. It is kind of a joke, but especially when she was doing this, people were getting killed in real time. The president was getting killed in real time. People were going to prison in real time. It was no joke.
Yes.
Was she single or married?
She got a divorce. My parents divorced in 1970, the summer. And then the car accident happened in December of 1970. So she did have someone that she really liked, and he understood a lot of the research. And then at that point, that could not pan out.
Right.
That could not pan out. And then she went on and continued her research.
Was the cause of the failure of the relationship because of her research and her work?
Well, my father, bless his heart, I mean, he came from Aberdeen, South Dakota, and he, his dream, his trajectory was Beverly Hills.
Right.
Swimming pools, movie stars. No, not quite, but he was an honest man, a gentleman, and he was just a gentleman. He was a great guy, and he had a men's clothing store, 114 South Beverly Drive in Beverly Hills, for many years. And he loved theater, and he loved the children, he loved tennis, and all this chess, and they had a great relationship. And then the hit the fan for a man, and my mom, who was raised in Beverly Hills with the, her dad was the rabbi to the stars,
right,
the Jewish stars, and in the house, the Warner Brothers and mayors and everybody, and philosophers, Einstein. My grandfather rode bikes. There's a painting of him of a picture that was from my grandfather Einstein riding bikes at a seminar in Santa Barbara in the early days, and that's on the wall of Cantor's in Los Angeles, right? On Fairfax. Anyway, so I was saying she grew up with this opulence, and she couldn't. When she was 7, I told you, she went around the world with her dad because her dad was the famous rabbi. He would officiate on the ships. Mm. So they went to Europe. They went to Egypt. She rode camels. When she was 7, they went to India, and her eyes cracked open. She saw that poverty. So her inner activist was awakened. And when my poor father, his trajectory was to come out of the Midwest to the West Coast, and he brought his family and everybody. And then my mom was rejecting it because she grew up in LA when it was beautiful and green, and all of a sudden it's getting busier and busier. And she wanted to raise the kids someplace beautiful. And also the State of the Union was just in a coup d'etat, she felt.
Right. So basically the cause of every relationship was lifestyle differences.
I really think so, yeah.
Okay.
And finally, she said, if you really believe, if you have different philosophies, finally, he commuted for 5 years from Carmel. He commuted, and they ended up just being very close friends.
Okay.
And
because we're getting short on time, so I wanted to ask you now, what about other people infiltrating? Was she concerned about people infiltrating her life,
Absolutely.
the family?
Yeah, always. It became evident, at different times when my brother had trouble. There was possible. I hate to put this on the air because it's his business.
Okay.
But there was possible CIA acid drop. There was possible friends maybe infiltrating me in the theater community. My other sister was quite young at the time. The car accident, like I mentioned, was it an accident? I don't know. She was threatened. And then as it went on, on one level, she used to say, good night, J. Edgar.
Right.
She always felt she was bugged. She started to get more momentum, though, and that propelled her. Even if the accident had happened, she always thought that if this was a renazification of America, that the doctors and scientists that went underground and went to every country and were infiltrated for a future takeover, possibly. Like, when COVID struck and every country got it, and every country started agreeing that everybody should be inoculated and shouldn't leave the country and be locked down and wear masks. I don't mind wearing masks because I get flu. I'm a stinger, so it's like I wear masks. I've worn masks for years. Just because everyone's so rude and sneezing into the air, I'm like, ah.
Well, so, I prefer wearing a mask because I'm so ugly. But besides that, no. So she was concerned about people infiltrating and manipulating her work. And we talked off the air too about Dave McGowan's book Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, about how he felt that the hippie counterculture and these musicians all had military and intelligence connections in their life.
Charlie Manson, which I hate to say his name.
Right.
God, it's like, stop.
But let me ask you this. Along that vein of this possible influence and manipulation of the culture, okay, because your mother was a major part of the culture. She's part of this culture right now on this radio show. She was a huge influence to me in my life. Is it possible that this personal workshop that she went to could have, that instigated all this, could have been some kind of manipulation?
Oh, no. This was, Monterey, Big Sur, Esalen Institute, Philomar. These are, anything's possible, actually. But she sought them out. They just offer in their program of a healing weekend or a.
No, I understand. Was she ever introspective though to the fact that possibly she could be? I'm concerned constantly that I'm being manipulated and used. I've brought people on this show. I've created careers out of these people, and I regret it. A lot of people that got by me. Now, was she ever concerned? Oh yeah, was she ever concerned that she was being manipulated or influenced contrary to what she wanted? Or you never considered that?
No, I think it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's twisting it even one more step. Usually, it was people diverting her from diverting her from her intention.
Distractions.
Distraction. If say they wanted her to shut herself up.
Yeah.
To hurt a family member would possibly slow her down.
Yeah, but like you said, just the distraction. And now today, I just did a show about this. If you want to call up your cable TV company, you got to set aside an hour. You're going to be on the phone on hold for an hour. Life has just become one big giant distraction. You can't get anything done anymore without putting aside a day to take care of it. That's
right.
Right, but back in those days, you had to really target somebody and really get into their life to distract them to this degree that we have today. Now, what about the passing of your mother? Did she have a radio show right up until her death?
Well, she was threatened by one big bad guy.
Okay.
It shivered her boots. It just shivered her to where she said, "Okay, I got to get off the air."
And do you want to say who that was?
Well, I think he's dead now, but
okay.
He was a satanic ritual cult guy.
Okay.
He was throwing some heavy rocks at his fan,
Right.
And so she's standing there yelling, and he's like, "Okay, bang, bang, you're dead." I don't know.
There's Colonel Aquino. Michael Aquino?
Ew, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's dead now. He just died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, supposedly, if you're going to believe any of that.
Supposedly.
That's what says it's in the death certificate.
I don't believe anybody does suicide anymore. I mean, I just heard about Paul Robeson, supposed suicide. Boy, that poor man, they gave him, electroshock therapy.
But now this is interesting, because now one of the big topics in conspiracy land in this this power politics that your mother invented practically is this international pedophile rings, and we do a lot of satanic ritual abuse stuff here too as well. We talk about Aquino. I've got all kind of involvement with that as well. But now, did your mother ever? Because she never really talked about it on the air, the pedophile situation. Did she talk about it off the air?
Well, yeah, but I don't know if it had reared its ugly head at that point. I know she did. I know some friends of mine, people I've met in the world, have come to me and said my mom saved them from a pedophile ring or the satanic ritual ring, where their father was a lawyer, their grandfather was a judge, and they all had these things going on, and it's like that's like so scary.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I know. I know, Barbara.
And this little girl had been on stage and used for years. And this other girl, too, I know that her father, I mean, it is wild what people are capable of. I call it, mankind, and then there's the man very unkind, the very bizarre. Mankind has to deal with the unkind. But we aren't alone in this world from the history. This is not a rehearsal. This is not, a dress run. This is life, and mankind has capability of being really bad.
Now,
Go back into history of the wars and the tortures and the inquisitions and the witch burnings and the Nazis. I mean, the real, when you think of Auschwitz and all that, it's not people use the word Nazi so quickly these days. It's just it dilutes the horror of that it deserves to be recognized as. And I don't think there's other Chinese torture, there's Japanese torture. Mankind is so creative in their torture. And they figure most people, they won't even get it because they don't think anyone could be that bad.
No, the one thing we should fear most in life is our fellow man, who has the ability to really torture us and do damage to your life in the smallest ways, personal ways, and like you said, cattle cars, and camps and ovens and things, Now, but we already
the other thing that Mae said, and this other guy, Russian guy said, 85% of what's happening is right in front of us. It's in the news. It's on the world, and right now the news distraction. Talk about crazy making. I love you, slap. I love you, slap. I mean, what? I'm the leftist, and now we got defund the police and violence and burning things down. What? I don't get it. There's a big lie in the world. We got to go back to our souls, go back to tuning in. And what is true? You have to trust your gut. It's really a challenge today. And the thing with Mae's project, the thing that propels me now is this what possible biowarfare going on and isolating people and getting everybody, inoculated and then passported and where everybody's at. No more privacy, and it can all be used against you. So today, it's so important. I just once and for all want to get her stuff digitized for everybody to see, everybody to have.
A couple of things I wanted to touch on, and we're really short on time before this. And I want to have you back on next week, too.
Okay.
But, no, because there's just so much here. But now,
you're a sweetheart.
Was there something your mom was working on at the end that she wanted to tell the world that she didn't?
Oh, hell. She had 5 books she was writing on the Kennedy assassination. She said there was 5 different topics. But on her way there, Watergate happened. Right. On her way there, Contra, this thing happened. And then MK Ultra and all this stuff happened. I mean, she couldn't take it all for one woman. Without computer, without internet. Zappa gave her a computer, but by the time he gave it to her, she's like, what am I going to do with this? Pardon me. Let's do with this stuff. What am I going to do with this stuff? You have to take time to learn it, and how you going to,
Wait, Frank Zappa? Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa gave her a computer. Okay.
Yeah.
And John
Lennon, you know about John Lennon.
John Lennon funded Paul Krasner. We know that. But you got to look into the history behind Frank Zappa, man. I wouldn't take a computer from Frank Zappa. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Read Dave McGowan's book.
You may have thought that.
You got to read Dave McGowan's book on that.
Electronic mail. But actually, we got to meet John Lennon and Yoko.
Very nice.
In San Francisco. We had coffee milkshakes together.
How old were you then when you met? How old were you when you met John Lennon?
I was 17.
Oh my God! You must have had a heart attack.
Oh my God! We heard this guitar playing. Like we're outside in the hallway. We hear the guitar. I'm like, oh my God! There's some Beatles in there playing a guitar. Oh my God! That kind of thing.
Amazing. What a life. I tell you, what a life. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Actually, we're over time. I'm going to have to cut out some commercials, but that's fine. But what do you want to leave us with? Barbara Brussell Fessler, what do you want to leave us with tonight?
I just want to thank everybody who is listening to Mae, my mom. I'm proud of her. I am not the researcher, but I do want to look after this collection. And I wanted to have it all digitized. And thank you so much for listening. And everybody has to give what they can. If it means passing on this podcast to somebody else, that's what you can do, just for now. Then it'll be done, and you can have it all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You can buy the audios, okay, at MaeBrussell.com. But I'm going to try and work out something where we play it on the Spreaker channel, and we can give them some ad revenue from that. Then the Mae Brussell Project, you can find it on Facebook, and that's where you can go and hear about this GoFundMe and to support the work. And then the MaeBrussellProject.com. Barbara Brussell, thank you so much. I can't wait to have you back. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, Ed, thank you so much.
No, thank you. I'll talk to you in a little while, okay?
Okay.
Good night.
Nice.
And now a word from our sponsors. EmailRevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey, Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online, email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. EmailRevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. EmailRevealer.com. 800-572-9762.
A flooded home or business is never easy to deal with. You're left with a mess to clean up, having to deal with the insurance company to pay for the damages, not to mention the memories that are lost that you cannot replace. And Aquadam can be another tool in your arsenal to protect your home or business from the floodwaters, a hurricane storm surge, or the king tides. Give Aquadam a call at 707-764-2119 or look us up online at aquadam.net. We can help. We're also offering 10% off the price to anyone who mentions they heard this ad on the Opperman Report.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. Hey, if you have something you want to promote, like a business or a website, you got a big event coming up, consider advertising on the Opperman Report. We have excellent advertising rates for you. We're on KCAA on 3 different frequencies on AM/FM in California, KSHP 1400 AM in Nevada, WWPR in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, 1490 AM, and also WWNN, which is on the east coast of Florida, all the way from Miami up to Port Bay, with 175 miles of I-95. The advertising rates are very affordable. Once your ad goes up and we play the show on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, those ads stay up there forever. And then we play repeats every single night of classic Opperman Report shows. And your new ads will be inserted into those repeats that play every single night. So the saturation is incredible, and the rates are very affordable. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking, true stories need no embellishment.
Hey guys, if you like the show and you want to show your support, check out the Opperman Report Patreon. You can go there for $3 a month. We have all the shows that you hear Monday through Friday on AM/FM radio, but we cut out the ads, so you can hear that content ad-free. There's a $5 section where we put up all the old members section shows are going up over there. And then there's a $10 section where we have 8 hours of exclusive content per month in the $10 section. But listen, I put up a lot of free stuff too. Documents, court documents, photographs, announcements. So you should make the Opperman Report Patreon. You should stop there once a day and check out what's going on over there. That's Opperman Report Patreon.